All right, everybody, welcome in and welcome back. Season 4, episode 24, aka our 135th show. Andy playing a little bit of mind games before the start of this, making me laugh right as the intro started.
Hey, we're supposed to be having fun on this podcast, so you should be smiling and laughing during the podcast.
Agreed.
It's a fun time.
I think we are going to have a pretty smiley podcast for the most part.
Yeah. Do I see all our points that were available to us have been taken? I think that's the case. I'm just scrolling over your notes, and I think I see the same. My club did not take all 6 points, but we'll get to that. Happy weekend. Happy 2 weeks for Barcelona in like their really crunch weeks.
Yes.
So I'm excited to hear how you guys got on, especially against Newcastle.
Yeah. So I'll kind of do Champions League first because that was the first action since we last podcasted, even though there's a La Liga game in the middle there, just because it just makes it flow a little bit easier. So First leg was away at Newcastle, and Newcastle definitely played Newcastle ball. It was physical. It was rough and tumble. Barcelona had a hard time playing out of the back. They were kicking long, like basically the whole game, could generate like no offense. And Newcastle definitely played their game, and I got to tip the cap to them because they took Barcelona out of theirs, or ours, however you want to say it. And yeah, it was tough, but it was nip and tuck. It was 0-0 until like the 80th, 85th minute, where on an attacking play, Araujo had gone down, wasn't allowed back on the field because he had gone down kind of behind the goal almost, and the referee wouldn't let him on. And play developed, but he kind of like jogged back instead of like, I'm not expecting you to sprint the full length of the field in the 80th, 85th minute, but you got to get back because on that ensuing play, he was still kind of like outside of the 18 when Newcastle played a ball into the box, and our new upstart right back, Xavi Espart, who's like 18 years old, had two guys to guard and didn't know who to go with. So he went with the guy who was in front of him, which is the guy more central to the goal. Makes sense. Ball goes over his head, finds the Newcastle, I think it was the left winger, and he puts the ball past Joan Garcia for a 1-0 lead. And I'm like, oh, great.
Anthony Gordon, I'm guessing, because I think he's left.
No, because Anthony Gordon was sick that game.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, so he didn't play. It was his replacement. Maybe he was a left wing back. Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Anyway,
so Barcelona down 1-0 with the last attack of the game in stoppage time. Dani Olmo goes 1-on-2 in the box, plays a nice little chop dribble from his left to his right. One of the Newcastle defenders leaves a foot dangling out and clips him. So Barcelona get a penalty. And with the last action of the game, as I watch with fingers covering my eyes because Lamine Yamal is taking it, he scores, and Barcelona nab the draw at the death to go back to Barcelona with some momentum.
Pig. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, 1-1. Based on how the game went, like I wouldn't have been too upset with a 1-0 loss just because of how we didn't really get to play our game. But leaving there 1-1, I was like, all right, man, like we have momentum. We're going back home. Yeah. I feel pretty good about this.
Yeah. Just getting a draw away, especially like I feel in tournaments where it's like home and away, that's perfect because you're always betting on yourself to win at home for sure.
Right. So we go back home for the reverse fixture, and it was fun. It was fun. The first half was back and forth. Barca scored, Newcastle scored, Barca scored, Newcastle scored. And we get a penalty at the death of halftime, or right before halftime. And we convert it to go 3-2 into halftime. And I'm like, oh gosh, like I'm a little nervous at this point because it was very nip and tuck back and forth. Lamine Yamal
that's 5 goals in the first half. Like,
yes.
No defensive solidity be damned. Like, that's not happening.
Defense optional for sure. So Barca made 2 mistakes though. So Eric Garcia started the game at right back, and he jumped into a challenge where he shouldn't have. He was 1-on-2. He gets beat. Newcastle have numbers going the other way and end up scoring a pretty easy goal after a cross was played in the box. And after Barcelona scored like 10 minutes later, and then like another 10 minutes after that or something, Newcastle score again because Lamine Yamal is facing his own goal, not far outside of his own 18, tries to play a stupid backheel pass to Pedri when he's surrounded by Newcastle defenders. And Newcastle pick it off, play a ball in behind, and I'm trying to remember who it was. I actually wrote it down here. So Anthony Elanga gets his second for Newcastle, easiest goal of his life. And
he's good at that. He's good at scoring the easiest goals of his life.
Yes.
So
yes.
Except the one he scored a one again for United that was kind of insane, but ever since then. So I'm not the biggest fan of Anthony Elanga just because of how he left United and what he had said about leaving United and what he had said about United at the time. So I'm going to give him a little bit of shtick on the podcast. But continue. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. And then Barcelona ended up getting the penalty at the death that Lamine Yamal scores again. And Barcelona go in halftime 3-2. So I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm a little nervous, but we have the advantage. We're at home. I have a hard time believing Newcastle is going to be able to keep up their press for an entire second half. And I was right because Barcelona comes out and scores 4 in the second half.
Yeah, that's insane.
4. So let's see. Those second half goals were Fermin Lopez, which was the greatest Barcelona team goal that this year has seen.
Whoa.
Gerard Martin had the ball in the back. Fermin makes a run around a Lewandowski that's checking back into his own half. And Gerard Martin somehow sees Rafinha in space, picks him out. Rafinha one-touch passes Fermin Lopez, who at this point has sprinted 2/3 of the field. Gets on the end of the ball. He's one-on-one with the keeper, open space, just opens up his body, bends it around the keeper just inside the far post. And it was just such a well-worked goal. Very quintessential Barcelona. So, that happened. And Lewandowski got 2 in the second half. Rafinha got another one on a cheap giveaway. And it was just running riot. And it was so fun. That building, Andy, was so loud because the game before the second leg of the Newcastle game, Sevilla at home, which I'll get to, was the first time the Ultras were in the new Camp Nou. So I'm sure you've heard this from me before, might not remember, but there's tension between Barcelona president Joan Laporta and like the board and the Ultras because of some behavioral issues and things that are changed at games and, whatever it might be. So they basically had closed down the north side of the stadium for the Ultras, but they worked it out. And so the Ultras were back in the stadium for Sevilla and for the second leg of the Newcastle game. And Andy, it's only at 64,000 people. It's like 2/3 capacity right now. It's going to be 100 or 105,000 once the stadium is finished.
Wow.
But it was loud. Like it was so loud and it made me so happy and it was so exciting. It's going to be amazing once that stadium is full, like how loud Camp Nou is going to be.
Yeah. That's honestly, I feel that's like the biggest thing is the atmosphere, especially for those like cup games. Cause like, right. Like you really need that atmosphere going because to kind of make it that world-class destination, it needs to be loud. It needs to be the people that are there, the ultras that are there making that and just the fan base that's there. So great that you guys were able to get that going, especially against a team like Newcastle that is their game, is like they try to press the crap out of you. But it sounds like you're able to manipulate it in the perfect way to really just blow the doors open.
Yeah. I think one of the telling things, because Joe Linton, midfielder for Newcastle, kind of had his way in the first leg, bullying basically any Barcelona midfielder. But in the second leg, after the game, he was quoted as saying, when you press one of the midfielders, you're there, but then you blink or turn and realize the ball isn't with the guy that you're guarding or marking, and then you look back to see where the ball's gone and it's back with the person who you're marking, but they're not there anymore. Something along those lines. And it just showed how well Barcelona possessed and passed the ball and really made it hard for Newcastle to get a foot in the game, especially in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned, the first 2 goals were kind of Barcelona mistakes. Not to say that Newcastle didn't earn the goals, but definitely rooted more in Barcelona mistakes than it was in Newcastle building play and kind of executing, or, something on a set piece or anything like that. So that's how that 2-leg tie went against Newcastle. So Barcelona are in the quarterfinals. So
sweet.
Very happy with that. Very, very happy.
Yeah. Do you know who you face in the quarterfinals yet?
Yeah, we face Atletico Madrid. And
awesome.
To make things more fun, we also have a league game against Atletico Madrid. So we play Atletico Madrid 3 times in 10 days.
That's crazy. That's just like a tournament in itself. So, because weren't you saying the Ritornimento or Rinascimento? But like this is like a whole different level.
Yeah. The tough part is we have 2 away legs because we played them at home in the league already this season. So that'll be tough, but doable, especially because we have momentum since the last time we played them. We beat them 3-0, even though it ended up in their favor on the 2-leg tie. But knocking on wood, because we have international break right now, but knocking on wood, Pedri is healthy. Pedri makes everything tick for Barcelona. And I'll get to Atletico Madrid's midfield here in a second, but if our midfield is healthy, it outclasses Atletico Madrid's by 100. And I think Barcelona, I'm not going to say will, but can easily dominate all 3 games just based on midfield play alone.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that. So going back to the league, so this was, again, between the 2 Newcastle games. We played Sevilla. We had a nice 5-2 win over Sevilla. The offense showed up again. Rafinha had a hat trick. Cancelo added a goal. And really paid off his kind of hard work over the last month or so, Andy. He's been playing very well, especially offensively. Defensively, he's gotten exposed a couple of times. On Newcastle's, I think, second goal, he left Alonga kind of wide open, let him run. I don't even know if he was running it. I don't remember if he was running in front of or behind Joao Cancelo, but Joao Cancelo just kind of stopped on the ball and Alonga had the easy tap in. And so there are times where defensively he's just not quite there, but he is really adding to Barcelona's offensive attack down the left side, which since Balde's injury, he really hasn't been as willing to go forward quite as much, or just isn't clicking down the left side as much either. Whereas Cancelo really is. And I think the nice thing about Cancelo is he's so good off both feet that he can go down the left side and whip across him with the left foot, or he can stop on a dime, pull the ball back, and then attack dribbling with his right foot going into the field, which is something that Balde doesn't really have. So I think Balde is better defensively, but again, Cancelo has played really well, and I want every single Barcelona fan, every single one who whined and cried and complained about this Joao Cancelo to put forth a public apology on whichever social media platform of your choosing. Do it. Do it, because he has saved our bacon. And I don't care how the season ends at this point. He has saved our season. He really has. Because with Eric Garcia has picked up a couple of knocks and hasn't been able to play. So if that happens, you have Gerard Martin having to play a left winger, left wing back, which is not his role. He's better as a center back. You have to pull Araujo consistently for 90 minutes into these games, which he hasn't been doing. And then you have to play an 18-year-old Xavi Espart on the right back position for full 90 minutes, game in, game out, over multiple games. So public apology, I want to hear it, because he deserves every bit of accolades that are coming his way. He's been playing fantastically. So I'm tipping the hat to Joao Cancelo and Xavi Espart. He's stepped up really nicely. He's had some really good games filling in at their right back position. And yeah, I mean, just both of them kind of anchoring those wingback positions while Balde and Koundé recover from their injuries has been really, really nice to see over these last few weeks.
Yeah. It's what you want, right? Like it's like our favorite NFL team. It's next man up, and like they're doing that. Like whether it's recruiting in, getting Joao Cancelo, or going for Espar, like they're stepping up. So again, whatever's happening, like we've seen it when it doesn't happen. We've seen it when like people coming in are not able to get it clicking, especially for a team that's challenging on so many fronts. Mm-hmm. So it's the right mix is there. It sounds like the right mix is there.
Yeah. Yeah, and being able to pull up Xavi Espart from the academy and see, it's so funny because he, Lamine Yamal, Bernal, and Cubarsí are all the same age, so they've played on the same Barcelona teams growing up. So seeing pictures of them young through the years on these same teams is hilarious, and it makes me so happy because I was telling this to Elizabeth the other day, where the més que un club, like more than a club for Barcelona, it really is. It's the city, the politics that's gone into it, and we've talked about that, but also these players who have been in this youth system for years, who are just dreaming of playing for the big club in the Camp Nou. And being able to do that, but being able to do it so young. I mean, Barcelona has 4 starting 18-year-olds.
That's crazy. That's crazy to think of. Yeah. And Lamine isn't even one of them, right? Like, it's not even Lamine.
No, Lamine is one of them. He's still 18.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez, he's dead.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. So, I mean, the future is so bright. I am so proud of our club. That pride goes into a scrappy 1-0 victory over Rayo Vallecano. It was actually Ronald Araujo who scored, which was great to see, great for his confidence. And Barcelona just kind of hold on defensively. Joan Garcia really stepped up, earned a man of the match in that game with just great save after great save, and survived a little bit of a scare with him in the second leg of the Newcastle game. Game was already done and dusted, only like 5-10 minutes left. He felt some left calf discomfort and actually had to leave the game. And so we're thinking, oh, he's pulled something, tore something, whatever it might be. There were reports all online saying he's going to be out for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. It was really all over the place. But after Barcelona did some tests, it actually was found out it was just some like cramping discomfort. There wasn't any structural damage. But actually in this Rayo Vallecano game, I don't remember if it was the first half. I think it was the first half. He goes down again. And again, both were kind of like, on easier saves, like nothing too crazy. But he got some treatment on the field. He was like, no, I'm good now. And he was able to finish the game. So I don't know how it's going to go with international break, but hopefully he's able to get some rest and some recovery in and can be healthy for this backstretch. Because if he goes down in any of these meaningful games, we will not win them. Like, I love Szczesny, but he is not athletic enough to be kind of that wall behind Barcelona's high line. He's just not. Joan Garcia is. But yeah, I love Szczesny, but I hope we don't see him on the field for the rest of this season.
Yeah, I think I was able to see the ESPN highlights of the Rayo Vallecano game, and seeing Joan Garcia, I think when you say his athleticism and just his reflexes and his ability to kind of go that quickly is great. So it's nothing against, I think, Szczesny as a player.
No,
it's just that Joan Garcia has just that little bit extra that Szczesny I don't think he was necessarily always like the quickest reflex of a guy, but he could do a job. But with the style that they play at Barcelona plays, you are that last thing. You are that last defense. You have to be a spider. And Joan Garcia is definitely that spider for you guys.
For sure. Yeah, Szczesny had a really funny quote. He tweeted, I think, on Twitter or something like that, or X, whatever you want to call it now, where it was a picture of like side by side of Joan Garcia and then him kind of coming into the game.
Uh,
And Chesney is like, get well soon, Joan. Like, we all want you to be back on the field as soon as possible. Like, insinuating him included.
yeah. He's like, I need you. I need to look like just be the backup keeper. I don't need to be the starter. That's funny.
Yeah,
that's funny.
He's got a great sense of humor. So, but
does.
yeah, that is how Barcelona fared over 4 games since we last chatted, Andy. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting with these fixtures coming up against Atletico Madrid, kind of thick and fast right after the international break. So Barcelona better be ready. There's no like warming back up, getting back together after that international break. It's got to be right away, and it's got to be hard and fast. So
yeah. Well, the thing is, what matters is you clicked when you needed to, because I think now is kind of when things start going off the rails. So we'll kind of get into that, I think, later in the podcast then.
Yeah.
So, but you survived, and that's big. So
I mean, thrived. I would say thrived even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why not? It's part of your podcast. Say they're thriving, then they be thriving then.
Yeah.
So
they be thriving.
Sweet. So wish to say the same about United. I would say like overall I think we're doing well. We're on schedule. I think that's kind of how we play, is on schedule.
Yeah.
Big thing I think that happened in the past 2 weeks is the game against Aston Villa, where we won 3-1, able to leapfrog them or gain some distance in between them at 4th and us now at 3rd place, with I think just like a point or so in difference for that. At that point, actually, no, at that point it was 3 points. So big takeaway, I think, from that is we're definitely seeing what Bruno Fernandes, I think, could have been if he had gone to a more functional team, both offensively and defensively. I say that because I think he racked 2 assists that game, and that's putting him at the spot where he is now the quickest player in, the quickest player in current players that are playing. Quickest player to reach 100 goals, 100 assists in their time in any club. So it's quicker than Messi, it's quicker than Ronaldo, it's quicker than De Bruyne. And so I think that just kind of shows just how good he is. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of why I wanted to talk about Bruno, because I know you love Bruno Fernandes, Paul.
Oh, yeah.
I know you absolutely love him.
Love him, yep.
Like, he is, I think, undeniably the best player in the Premier League this season. I would say so, because of his output he's been putting through. And given that he started in the midfield for the first half of the season, I think also shows just how good he's really getting and where he's at with the current club. So
yeah. Would you say maybe not single-handedly carrying Manchester United?
Oh yeah, he has.
Yeah,
he has.
Yeah,
he carried him last year. Like, I think there was a stat where from the goals or either the goals that he scored or the assists he created last season, if we did not, we would have been relegated. Like, just based on his output alone from that. He saved us last season. He has done this, I think, for the longest time. He was, again, back when we got him for Solskjaer, he was the catalyst from us being like this weird mid-table team, kind of saving, I think, Aldi's job by getting Solskjaer, and he's been our best signing since post Alex Ferguson. Absolutely. So just want to give Bruno Fernandes his flowers, because I think now people are really starting to see what he can do and how well he can do it. So long may that continue. Heading into Bournemouth, I think the big thing I want to touch on with Bournemouth, 2-2 draw. From what I've heard other people say about the game, so it was a really tight, really good match. I thought it was just an incredibly scrappy match, hard-fought match, with really just unfortunate inconsistency from refereeing, I think, this match. I don't know how many times I mentioned referees in previous podcasts. This one feels like a few. this one kind of stings because it felt like, so there were, in the course of the game, there were two penalties, one for United, one for Bournemouth. United, the one with United, we could have had another penalty. And I think what's interesting with this penalty is because of how the play went, us not getting that penalty then directly linked with Bournemouth Bournemouth tying the game. So we're up 1-0 from a penalty thanks to Cunha for his massive trickery getting into the box. He gets pulled, instant penalty, clear as day. Bruno Fernandes slots it home. So 1-0 up. In the second half, Amad Diallo has control of the ball. He's cutting on the inside. Defender has not one arm, but two arms on his shoulder, grabbing his shoulder and pushing him out, pushing him down. No penalty called. Ahmad's on the ground. Our right-hand side kind of falls asleep because we're thinking, oh, that's a penalty. And I don't think that's good that we can fall asleep that quickly, but that inadvertently did. And so I think we kind of snapped out of it for a little bit. So we end up going ahead again through an own goal from a corner. And then I want to say in the 70th minutes, I forget what that phrase, like from between the 70th and 80th minute, Harry Maguire puts his arm on a player that's entering into the penalty area. That man goes down, gets the penalty. So the question really is, what happened to the Ahmad penalty?
Right.
Because it does feel like because we already gotten a penalty earlier, he was not going to give another one.
Yeah.
And that sucks because, like, of the three, the most egregious looking one was Ahmad's.
Yeah.
The one on Ahmad, because you have someone with two hands on you shoving you over. That's hard for me to understand how that doesn't get a penalty.
Agreed. Agreed.
So that's kind of my two cents on that. But end of the day, we're still in third place. We have dealt with everything that's come our way, and heading into now this next part where we don't play until like mid-April. We're in third place. We're where we need to be. And with other results, how they've gone, we're sitting in a good spot to still get Champions League football. So really can't complain too much, but there's definitely areas to be improved, I think, for us, and just not falling asleep and kind of doing something United has done since, I think, Ferguson, of always complaining and then switching off, hoping that they get something as a result from it. So that's kind of my United update there for you, Paul.
Perfect.
Heading in now to the rest of the league vibes. Let's go talk to about the Bundesliga. We'll kind of skip over the past 2 weeks and just focus on the most recent week. Big thing I have is Bayern tearing apart Union Berlin after drawing with Bayer Leverkusen. So they're back up or they've always stayed at the top, but they're back to their winning ways. I think big thing that I've seen is that Stuttgart absolutely stunted on Augsburg, 5-2, with Dortmund getting a win, and Hoffenheim falling pretty handily 5-0 to RB Leipzig. So what that means now in the Bundesliga, Paul, Bayern are at 70, Dortmund are at 61, Stuttgart are now at 53 points, and RB Leipzig have now hopped over Hoffenheim into fourth at 50 points.
Good one.
So, Paul, what's happening in La Liga?
Sure. So I'll do the same thing where we won't really cover the games from a couple of weeks ago, just focus on the most recent one since that's the most exciting anyway, because Atletico Madrid faced off against Real Madrid, Andy. And Atletico Madrid up 1-0 going into halftime. Looked like they more or less have control of the game. Real Madrid came on kind of hot towards the end of halftime, but couldn't put anything past the keeper. And within, I think, 10 minutes or 15 minutes of the second half starting, Real Madrid remontadas Atletico Madrid and gets 2 goals back. Very frustrating, especially because I don't think it was the first one. I think it was the second one. Atletico Madrid tries playing a back pass from the left back to the left center back and basically hits it in between the center back and the goalkeeper, gifting it to Valverde, who comes in and scores a pretty nice goal, all things considered, but basically just giving him the ball. And then my favorite is it's either the right center back or like the defensive midfielder for Atletico Madrid just kind of like jogs and watches it happen instead of running back and guarding Valverde. It was a mess. So Real Madrid goes up 2-1, and then Atletico Madrid with Molina, who comes in as a sub, hits probably a top 3, maybe a top 5 goal for the year.
Wow.
Where from outside the box, he hits an absolute screamer, top bins, and probably from 20, 25 yards out.
Crazy.
And it was incredible. Goalie could basically just watch it go over his gloves. And you'd think, okay, we're 2-2 now. Both teams have played pretty well. This is how it's going to finish now. Vinicius Jr. is inevitable. Scores for 3-2. Andy, Kylian Mbappe, I think, is the worst thing for Real Madrid right now, which is, I think, a pretty hot take for somebody who's the leader in goals in La Liga. I think he's pretty high up there in the Champions League as well this year. But Vinicius Jr. doesn't know, and the team, I think itself also doesn't know how to play when Mbappe's on the field. It's basically give Mbappe the ball and try to watch him work and let him do his thing.
Yeah.
Vinicius Jr., because Kylian Mbappe has been in and out of the lineup with a knee injury. He was great. He was absolutely fantastic in this game. He had 2 goals. He was the reason Real Madrid won this game. But with no Mbappe out there, he's just free to do what he does best. And that's find spaces, cut the ball from his left to his right foot, curling shots into the far corner. But when Mbappe's on the field, I don't think he knows what to do.
Yeah.
Because Mbappe takes up his side of the field and he's not playing on the right. I think there's a whole thing about Real Madrid players playing on a position. Nobody really wants to do it right now. But, leaving that aside, it's like Vinicius by himself is a force, is an absolute force. But I think Mbappe, just from a mental and a tactical standpoint this year, is hurting Real Madrid. He really is. So, really, really good win. Julian Alvarez is basically probably the only bright spot I would say at Atletico Madrid right now. He had a nice goal and almost tied the game with one of the last actions where he almost puts it top bins, top right corner, and hits the post. But Atletico Madrid's midfield is trash right now. Koke was giving the ball away left and right, couldn't connect passes. Antoine Griezmann is still very skilled, but is showing his age and can't play 90 minutes running up and down the field. Then they try to play a combination of Sorloth and Alvarez, which they're both strikers, so it doesn't really work. You have a disconnect between the midfield and the attackers. And Simeone playing down the right side is, I think, good in spurts, but he doesn't play a consistent full game. I was watching the game and I was like, Atletico Madrid, what are you doing? It didn't look like Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid. For the whole game. At the start, Atletico Madrid was the better team, but as the game wore on, it looked like Real Madrid versus Villarreal, or a team where that's good, top 8, top 5 good in the league, but not Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, not the resolute Atletico Madrid that we're kind of used to in terms of their doggedness. Because I think, again, they don't have the players, they don't have the right type of players. It sounds like in the roles they need them to be. Because you have attacking midfielders trying to play more as midfielders when they want to be closer to the attack, and then you have strikers trying to play as attacking midfielders while they want to stretch. So you're going to have a huge gap there, definitely. Yeah. So it sounds like that's kind of what's running into.
And they don't have enough quality in their midfield to play a full 90 minutes against these top teams, and we saw that, I think, in Barcelona, Atletico Madrid in the Copa del Rey in that 2-game tie where, tale of two halves, when Barcelona loses Pedri, Atletico Madrid's able to do something. Also, Atletico Madrid in tournaments versus league play this year is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, two completely different teams. But, then you see what happens when you have these upper echelon midfields going up against Atletico Madrid's. It's a very stark difference. And I'm just sitting here wondering, what is it going to take for Atletico Madrid to get to that point where they're competing with Barcelona and Real Madrid for the league title, where they're able to take this step and compete in the Champions League? And, they're in the final 8, which, same place Barcelona's at, but, they're in the final of the Copa del Rey. But it's like, if you want to, I think Atletico Madrid wants to be Barcelona, wants to be Real Madrid. If you want to be these teams, if you want to make this a 3-team league for the top, you have to compete in all 3 competitions. You can't just be good in 1 or 2. You have to compete in all 3.
Yeah. So that comes with money. I think that comes with money, and it comes with like the right resources, right?
Yep,
for them
agreed.
to get back to that spot. So
agreed.
But I don't know what their situation's like. I don't know what their money situation's like, but that's how you get back to it.
I just heard that they were a majority bought out by some big tech company. So they could be getting some more money and resources coming in here.
Yeah. We'll see how they use them.
And we've talked about how La Liga structures their finances for the teams for financial fair play. And it's the worst system of all of the top leagues. And it really limits how much teams can spend. So I think that it makes it hard on teams like Atletico Madrid, like Villarreal, like these teams who, could compete for the top, but they're so handcuffed on their spending by the league that, they end up maybe competing for a season, but they can't do it consistently because they can't spend consistently like these other top clubs, but that's a whole nother thing. That's neither here nor there. It was enjoyable to watch that game. It was very fun. The atmosphere in the Bernabeu was fantastic. And yeah, it was very competitive, but Atletico Madrid needs to do something special. One, if they want to stay in competition in the Champions League facing Barcelona, and 2, if they want to stay top 4. Because right now they're in 4th, and we'll get to that here in a minute. But Villarreal just jumped them in the standings, and they're still in Champions League for next season as long as Spain remains a 4-team league for the Champions League. But I don't know, man. They're just so up and down this year. You just don't know what you're getting.
Yeah, which I'll say is I think is kind of scary, at least with Barcelona. Is like you don't know what. What Atletico Madrid's going to kind of show up. Like you hope the one that like doesn't have the midfield worth beans, but then you have the one where that won the Copa del Rey. So what's going to turn up for that? So that's the scary part. Is an inconsistent team is probably like the worst team to go and face because you don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah. And it's not like you're not getting a lot of like middle performances. It is either hot, ice cold, or red hot. And yeah, agreed. That's tough to face for sure. So
definitely.
Speaking of Villarreal, they ended up roasting Real Sociedad 3-1. So what that means for the standings, Barcelona still in first with 73, Real Madrid with 69 points. By the way, annoyed with Atletico Madrid for not stealing at least some points so we could be a little bit more comfortable in first place, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Villarreal in third place, Andy, now with 58 points, and then Atletico Madrid behind them with 57. So, there's a little bit of a gap. I think it's 9 points between 4th and 5th, but I mean, based on how Atletico Madrid has played this season, I'm not going to put it past them to stumble out of that 4th spot. Like, it's very much still a possibility.
Yeah. It might come down to the end of the season, man. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. So with that in Spain, we'll head over to Italy. We'll check in on Inter. I did actually, for this one, or this group, I did look into the past 2 weeks because something interesting has happened. Inter's lead is now only 6 points.
Yeah.
From when it was, I think it was at one point it was at 11. So Inter have now drawn their last 2 matches. AC Milan haven't been able to completely overtake them, but they're now within 6 points of Inter. Napoli.
Did we crown them too early, Andy?
Maybe. But that's okay. I'm okay if Inter or Milan get crowned too early and then oh no, they don't win to Serie A and Napoli comes in and snags it. I'm happy. Yeah. I'm happy for that.
Yeah.
But with that, it's making it a little bit more interesting in Serie A. Another thing happening in Serie A is my team Roma. I guess I float between Roma and Napoli as clubs. I also found out that my cousin roots for, or my family member from Italy supports Juve. So I don't know if that makes me technically a Juve supporter as well. But in any case, Roma lost their last, I think, 2 matches to Como and Bologna. They did just win against Lecce 1-0, really saving them because now they are battling Juve for a Europa League spot or just a spot in Europe in general. So what that looks like is Inter with 69 points, Milan have 63, Napoli 62, winning their previous matches, previous 2, and then Como at 57. Roma and Juve are both at 56, but Juve have a better goal differential, so that season in 5th place there. Cosenza, they unfortunately fall to Casarano, but they're able to bounce back with a win against Latina 3-1, and they are now set up to face Benevento, the top of their group in Serie C. So big games coming up on Sunday for them. Heading over to the Premier League, Paul, we had the Carabao Cup final this weekend, and
Can you explain? I'm a little hazy on English cups because there's Carabao Cup, there's FA Cup, there's a Community Shield. Can you explain what the Carabao Cup is?
Yeah, so the Carabao Cup is a league cup. So you can kind of think of it as like a Copa del Rey. It is not the entire FA, but it's the entire, I think, like league structure. So I want to say it's technically like leagues, the Premier League to League 2, I think is where it goes.
Right.
That incorporates 4 leagues.
It's almost like a bigger version of the Super Copa.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically just a bigger version of that. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
With that, so that's the Carabao Cup, is just the League Cup there. Community Shield is the winners of the FA Cup versus the winners of the Premier League. And that's the first match, technically, like of the new year. That's the Community Shield. So easy trophy in the beginning there if you win. I want to say so that does that, and then the FA Cup is the whole English structure from like league to non-league teams all fit into the FA structure and compete for it. So that's kind of the breakdown there, Paul. We're going to look into the League Cup because that final took place this past weekend. And Arsenal, we're talking about a quadruple they're talking about it. And that is going to that's down 1 because City beat Arsenal to win the FA Cup final with I want to say it was a 2-0 victory.
Carabao Cup final.
Carabao Cup final.
Not the FA Cup final. That hasn't happened yet.
Whoops. That's true because we don't know who's in the final for the FA Cup yet. But that's our big thing. I guess the question is, Paul, what happens after this? Do City smell blood in the water? Do Arsenal just say like, hey, now we can focus on our other 3? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, here's the tough thing, Andy. Arsenal hasn't proved it, right? We've talked about this. They're competing across 3 competitions, which is very tough for a club to do that hasn't been in this place before, right? Where they're, you would say, probably one of the favorites for the league. You'd probably say they're one of the favorites for the FA Cup and probably one of the favorites for the Champions League, especially given the side of the draw that they're on. So how do they how do they deal with being favorites for these three competitions, right? And you could see with being, probably one of the favorites to win the Carabao Cup final, especially given Manchester City's recent form, and they can't do it. So I mean, I don't think they're winning a treble. I don't, because, I think they have a cushy enough spot in the league where they could win that. I don't think they're good enough to win the Champions League. And in a one-off game in a final, if they make the final of the FA Cup, I don't trust them to have that consistent results over these next couple of months to win a treble. I think they get one, maybe two. I think they get the league and maybe the FA Cup. I don't think they're good enough for Champions League yet.
Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think if it came down to Barcelona versus Arsenal, bias obviously, but I try to think even genuinely, given like what I'm hearing of people, how people are saying Arsenal play, I don't know if Arsenal can play with Barcelona. I don't know if they can do that.
Right. And even if they were, or if for whatever reason Barcelona isn't able to get past Atletico Madrid, right? If they are in a final, they are going to be facing either, unless something crazy happens, they're going to be facing either PSG or Bayern Munich. And I think those two teams right now they're a tier above, I think, both Arsenal and Barcelona, personally.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I just do. I mean, it's watching both of those teams right now, it's theirs to lose, in my opinion. So, yeah, I agree with you. I just don't see, I think Arsenal might be able to get there in the next couple of seasons, but this is the first time they've been in this situation at this point in the season where they're favorites in all of these competitions. And that is a very different kind of animal.
Yeah.
It's one thing where you're an upstart, you're kind of hunting, you're the underdog in some of these games. When you are the favorite, it's different kind of pressure.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's too, they're the favorites without having won yet. I think that does play a something as well.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I think that's the other caveat for that. But that's kind of what's happening there. So, well, there's still a lot of games left to be played. So Liverpool, we'll move on to like the race for Europe, where Liverpool and Chelsea both slip up against Brighton and Everton, respectively. Great news for United, because us dropping points against Bournemouth means, and their losses mean, that we still are able to gain a little bit of separation there. Not the biggest, but a little bit at the same time. Sunderland are victorious in the Tyne-Wear Derby. This is like, when thinking about like world derbies, I think this one's up there, because
interesting, especially since I haven't heard of it yet.
Yeah, I think their names for both rivers. So the Wear or the Ware is, I believe, where Sunderland is, and the Tyne is where Newcastle is. These two towns are separated by like 12 miles. So they're voracious, I think. And this is the north of England. I think the north of England, Scotland, like, you really get some really great support. And this is one of them. So just glad to see Sunderland and Newcastle back to have this rivalry and have this derby. Sunderland was victorious with a 2-1 victory over Newcastle. So kind of bad past couple weeks to be Newcastle.
For sure.
Other big thing to mention, Paul, Tottenham they lost to Nottingham Forest. Thankfully, Aston Villa beat West Ham to keep West Ham in the relegation place, but Forest...
It's crazy, dude. It's so crazy looking at the bottom of this table right now. Like, seeing Tottenham just a point away, and they've got better goal differential, but like, that's such a scary place to be.
It's a really scary place to be, because people aren't liking the manager. Like, the manager's kind of saying weird stuff, saying cryptic stuff. That's not really exciting people to be like, let's go and fight and get out of this.
Yeah.
the form is not there.
Yeah.
Like they're not finding ways to eke out points. Like they're
Right.
imploding during matches. Like it's kind of like United last year, but except worse.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, agreed.
It's I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to
You
happen.
think it's going to happen?
I think it's going to happen. It's going to probably come down to the wire, but I think it's going to happen, man. Like just on their form and who they have to face, I don't see how they can't stop leaking goals, so they can't just play for draws.
Right.
And Leeds look better, West Ham look better, Nottingham Forest look better, so they're more able to grind out results than I think Tottenham are.
Yeah,
I think so.
I mean, the nice thing about Tottenham is they play Wolves and Leeds United in the last 7 games of the league.
Mm-hmm.
But they are also going to have to go up against Sunderland, who's above them in the table, Brighton, Aston Villa, and Chelsea. And I don't remember if I said Everton or not.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got 2 games against teams that are below you at this point, and the other 5 are all teams that are better than you at this point in the season. So
yeah, so what happens when you're 4th from bottom? Everyone's above you.
Everyone's above you. Yep.
So yeah, it's a scary one. But let's go back to the Premier League and what that looks like in terms of numbers. So Arsenal are at the top with 70. City have a game in hand with 61 points. United have 55 and Villa have 54.
Yeah, and with that game in hand, if they win, again, it's not a guarantee for City. It's like it's 6 points, over the span of 7 league games left in the year, and it's like, I mean, 6 points is not. It's not nothing, but it's also not like, okay, we can breathe easy.
Right.
It's, yeah. Again, I don't think Arsenal can do it. It's just too much. Yeah. It's too much for a team that hasn't been there, done that.
Yeah, I think so. And we'll see with City. We'll just see, because if they hit another patch, anything can happen. I think that's what we're seeing here. It's not necessarily nothing is locked.
Yeah,
I would say nothing is locked.
And City is out of the Champions League, so they just have the domestic competitions to worry about and focus on now, which is something that plays a part at this point in the year. So
it certainly does. So we shall see him be locked in for that. So Paul, heading into the Champions League, lay it on for us.
Yeah. So we had 2 legs. I'll just kind of go through scores, and then we can talk bracket real quick. But Sporting Bodø Glimt. Bodø Glimt won 3-0 at home. They go to Portugal, and I think very controversially, Sporting ends up getting a very late penalty call in their favor, which I'll talk about in the Superduds section. But they convert the penalty to put the game into extra time and then score 2 goals in extra time, because Bodø Glimt, I think, had a red card at this point and were just on fumes. Actually, no, they didn't have a red card, but they were just on fumes, holding on, and couldn't do anything in extra time. So Sporting Club scores 2 goals in that extra time and ends up going through 5-3 on aggregate. That was very exciting, very sad, because I think Bodø Glimt got very, very unlucky and just couldn't hold on. So PSG absolutely demolished Chelsea 3-0 in the second leg, 8-2 on aggregate. Real Madrid, I think, Andy, shockingly end up beating Man City 5-1 aggregate, 2-1 in the second leg. That was, as a Barcelona fan, unfortunate. As a Manchester United fan, probably made you happy, if I had to guess.
If it means that City can beat Arsenal, so be it. That's where I'm at.
So, Arsenal, speaking of Arsenal, they beat Leverkusen 2-0 in the second leg, 3-1 aggregate. We already talked to Barcelona. Tottenham actually beat Atletico Madrid 3-2 in the second leg, but lost 7-5 on aggregate. That was a tale of 2 clubs that couldn't defend, Andy.
Yeah.
It was It was kind of wild. I mean, that's a lot coming from a Barcelona Newcastle game that was 7-2, but it was fun. It was fun, but Tottenham just kind of ran out of gas at the end. So Liverpool end up coming back after losing the first leg 1-0 to Galatasaray. They come back and score 4 at home in the second leg to go through 4-1. And then Andy, I think the best team in Europe right now, Bayern, goes 4-1 over Atalanta, 10-2 on aggregate, Andy.
Yeah.
10-2.
German ruthlessness right there. Just German ruthlessness.
Yep. So what that means for the bracket, Andy, let me pull it up here. So you have at the top Paris Saint-Germain and Liverpool, which I think will be exciting because Liverpool doesn't really have much to play for domestically. So we're going to see how much they go for it against PSG. Very exciting.
They do. They got to get into Europe. But anyway, like it's still big. They do because they got to get into Europe. So it's kind of like, do they shell out for Champions League or do they shell out for Premier League?
Yeah,
so we'll kind of
that's true. That's true. I should say they don't have anything to compete for as far as titles go domestically. Very good
they
point.
They do.
Though.
They are in the quarterfinals, semifinals for the FA Cup. So they're not competing for the Premier League. But
thank you.
Just to fact check you. You're very welcome.
No, I appreciate it. So So Paris Saint-Germain, Liverpool, and then very excitingly Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. That one's going to be an absolute doozy. You have the La Liga showdown between Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, and Sporting Club de Portugal and Arsenal as well. So very exciting. Arsenal, I think, has the easiest path of any team to get to the semifinals, but we will kind of see how that shakes out because Sporting Club has shown some absolute fight in these ties. So we will see. We'll see how that goes. Andy, any predictions, anything that stands out to you hearing those teams and kind of where they are and who they're playing against?
I'm not going to be surprised if Sporting is able to knock off Arsenal in this round. I'm not surprised. But then again, I'm rooting for that anyway, so I don't know why I even mentioned that. Yeah.
That's fair. So
I think this could be a banana skin for Bayern Munich with Real Madrid. I think.
What do you mean by that? What?
A banana skin, like you slip up against.
Oh, banana skin. Yeah. I heard this could be bananas for Bayern Munich, and I was like, what does that mean?
It's going bananas, man.
Is that good or bad? No, yeah. I agree because Real Madrid has gotten better over the last couple of weeks. They showed up against a good City team, and like I mentioned, I almost think the Mbappe injury is helping Real Madrid. So. We'll see how that goes. That's going to be an interesting one. We'll see what Liverpool, like you mentioned, does Liverpool go for it in the league? Do they go for it in the Champions League to qualify for next year? We'll see with that. And then Barcelona, Atletico Madrid is going to be fun because of 3 games in 10 days. That's going to be really, really fun. So
yeah, that's going to be crazy. So fun viewing for you, Paul. So that gets us, I think, to the end. We are now at our super subs and super duds. Paul, lay it on me. Who do you have for your super subs and duds?
Sure. So subs, I'm going the wingbacks for Barcelona. So Joao Cancelo and Xavi Espart, kind of the up and comer. And honestly, Ronald Araujo has been filling into that right back role as well. I think they've just done a really good job filling in. And not even just filling in, but excelling defensively and offensively for the Koundé and Balde injuries. And again, just really proud of the club. It's fun to watch them come together and, like you mentioned, next man up mentality and just watching players step into roles and excelling rather than hindering. It's just, it as you mentioned, it doesn't happen very often. And it's just fun. It's fun to watch. It is so fun. So
soccer's meant to be fun, man. Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Super dud, Andy. I'm going to talk VAR for a quick second because Bodø Glimt, I think, was controversially given a penalty against them at the very end of the game to allow Sporting Club de Portugal back into this game. the reason why I say that is because the Bodo Glimt defender, he has his arms out, okay? But the ball, I believe it was kicked by a Sporting player. It grazes the Bodo Glimt player's like stomach, lower chest, and then hits his arm, which, as I understand the rules, unless something has changed, is not a penalty because it can never be a handball if it hits another part of your body because you can't control a ricochet from that close. Right? Like even if the arm's in an unnatural position, which it was, which if the ball just hit his arm straight out and didn't hit his body, like handball, like, you know, I wouldn't even argue it, wouldn't blink at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it takes a very slight deflection off of his core. But when you have VAR and you can slow it down and look at all the angles, how do you not see that? And I haven't heard anyone like talking about it at all on the internet. So maybe I'm just crazy. But when I saw it in real time, I was like, how is that a penalty?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if you saw the clip, but
I didn't. So yeah, I didn't see the clip, so I can't really speak too much from it. But from what I just do know is that VAR is so technical, they're probably just looking to see if it hits the hand. And if it hits the hand, handball. Like, I don't even think they're taking the context of like, oh, maybe it deflected. Like, they're not even thinking of that and being like, is this the right call? I think they're just honestly going, letter of the law, what's happening? And they're like, letter of the law, it hit someone's hand, handball.
Which I thought letter of the law was if it comes off another part of your body, it can't be a handball. But
that requires context, Paul, and VAR does not have that.
Yeah, that's great point. Great point.
That's
context,
just how it goes, yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I just thought it was, you know, as somebody who is very into the Bodo Glimt story, Bodo Glimt was minutes away from qualifying for the next round.
Yeah.
It was, I think they got screwed. And it was sad to see as a neutral who really enjoyed their story and their run this year. But yeah, again, VAR, I just think not doing what they're supposed to do. So that's what I got.
That's mostly I think that's most weeks, to be honest, Paul. So for my super sub, I'm going to go with Robinio Vaz. Honorable mention for Sesko for his cameo against Aston Villa and getting a goal. Robinio Vaz is a striker for Roma, and he was able to get the winning goal against Lecce to at least keep him in fighting for European places. My super dud was going to be referees, but I feel like referees have bad times, and like just anyone, like we have bad days, but Tottenham are in real deep crap.
Yeah, and they've had a bad season.
They've had a bad season because, again, I forgot it with injuries. Like they're in a really tough spot. So they have to find something. Or else they're going down, I think. But
that would shake. I think that would shake the European football world if they go down.
Probably, I think it will potentially give investors pause in investing if they, for whatever reason, that it's like, nope, this is what happens. You got to be able to merit your way into the league. So there's no perennials, is I think the thing. But any case, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Thanks for hanging with us for a longer version to getting back from the next 2 weeks. We'll probably have a little bit of a break because of the international break, but we'll be back with you guys once club fixtures return. But until then, I have been Andy, Paul has been Paul, and with that, I'm wishing you all a big old bye.
Bye.
And there goes my camera.